Hi, and welcome to Thrive's YouTube channel. This video is going to walk you through the elements of my business toolkit. If you've followed along with Thrive, either here on YouTube or on any of the other ways you can find me on social media, in our blog, or in our Facebook group, Microsoft Dynamos, you'll hear me bang on about a business toolkit all the time. So today's video is going to walk you through what I have in my business toolkit, why it's there, and what a fabulous resource it is for my business. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start by sharing my screen and let's jump into it. So this is my desktop, and what I'm going to do is show you, I have my toolkit sitting on my desktop, which is also a really, really handy tool or shortcut for you. So this is a shortcut that I've saved to the desktop, and I call it my toolkit. So in here, I've got several folders that I use, and I'm going to just run through those really quickly for you so you can see the kind of information I always have at my fingertips. The first folder that, without having a folder, so the central document here I have is my workflow planner. So this is an Excel document that I use to map out the time frame for my projects, and every client gets one of those. So everything that sits in here is kind of fundamental to how I work. Then what I have are 5 folders that I use pretty much. If I don't use them all every day, I definitely would dip into most of them each week. Okay, so they're the high touch point content. So I've got them broken down into finance, business registration, my branding, my templates, and an information pack. So we're going to go through each one individually to show you what content we've got and how you can organize it for yourself as well. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the finance folder. So in here, I've got 3 core documents that I use across all of Thrive. So the 2 Excel documents here are about how I track and manage the finances for Thrive as an overall business. And then I've got my invoice template here as well. So they're always accessible and always easy for me to get my hands on. For reference, and if you're not aware, the income tracker, I'll work from the bottom up. The income tracker is where I actually track every single invoice that goes out and my breakdown so that I can put aside money for all of my financial obligations. So I've just opened it up. Here it is. It was on the other screen. And I'll just make it a bit shorter so it fits. So when you're looking at this here, what you can see is that I've got a full list here of all of my invoices. When they're color-coded in green means that I've either moved them into these accounts or I've made the payments. And I put the date that it was invoiced, the date it was paid, the invoice number, and then I've got a breakdown for GST, income, superannuation, tax, profit, my operating expenses, and my salary. So I can see that per invoice, and then I do a running total for the months as well. So I've got that one, and that helps me then determine my invoice numbers as well. I've also got a budget, which is the budget and forecast tool that you can purchase from Thrive. So this is this document. Again, Excel spreadsheet. And what it does is it lets me keep track of all of my income for the business across the different types of things that I do. So I've got different services that I provide. I can forecast and work out how much income I think I'll be making in the coming month. And I can also plot and test pricing to see if I need to tweak a price or I need to sell more of something or less of something to meet my goals. So those are Excel sheets that I use internally for myself. The other thing that I keep in here is my invoice template. So this is a Microsoft Word document. You can also create an invoice, obviously, in Excel, but I keep it here. It's a template, so when I open it up, it comes as a blank document. It doesn't have a particular title or a home. It's sitting as not belonging anywhere. I now have this has all been set up with all of my standard template information. I can complete it for a client, and then I would save it to the client folder. So that's what I keep in my finance folder. So the next folder that we look at is the business registration folder. So in here is where I keep all of my current business certificates so that if I ever need to provide them as part of a proposal or as part of a client tender process, or even just a client needs to cite them because I do state in my terms and conditions that I hold these insurances, I can provide them really easily. So I hold cyber insurance, liability, and professional indemnity, and I've also got my business name registration. So if for any reason I need those for insurance purposes, for business purposes, for client purposes, they are all in a central place. They're all PDF'd. They're the current ones. I don't have to rummage through. I can find them straight away. They're small files, and I can attach and share them to it via email or as a link from OneDrive, but they're available and makes my life easier. Folder number 3 is my branding folder. Now in here, oops, I'll just change. Don't know why it's doing it in that layout. So there are a couple of things I keep in here that are really, really useful and I use all the time. So first off, I've got a PDF document there, which is my brand guide. So that is the document that I would use if I was collaborating with anybody, if I was getting someone to put together content for me from a graphic perspective, and it outlines, it's got my logo, the rules around using my logo, my color palette, my fonts. So that's a really handy thing to have available. I've then got all of my image files. So I've chosen my most often used elements. So for me, it's the full logo, and then I've got a graphic. The graphic from my logo, I use both the outline and the solid version of that in different forms, in lots of different ways on things that I'm working with all the time. And then I have a folder here which has my planner images. So these are all of my images that I've created in Canva that I've downloaded that I use for every planner board I use with a client. So keep those all together because then I can refer to them really easily. They're all on brand. If I need to update things, then they all go into this folder as well, and I always have access to them. Okay, so inside the document templates folder, this is the core of what I use for running my business. So here I have my, now I have my professional profile as a document because I need to edit and maintain that. So I don't ever keep it as a template, but the current version, so this is my working version, and my current version sits in the last folder that we'll look at, which is the info pack. I've then got my handover document. So these are all templates you'll see here. So I always label mine as a document or a template or a checklist, whatever it might be. So it makes it easy for me to see. But yeah, so I have a handover document that I use for clients. I have my letterhead. I have a process document. I have a proposal document, and I have my service agreement. So all of these are my core business documents that I use on a day-to-day basis. And when I open them up, opening up my service agreement, for example, you'll see it's branded. It's got all of the content that I need to keep for myself, and it's ready for me to simply fill in for a client. And again, because it's a template, I can just save it to the client folder. If I close this, I'm not going to save that one. The other thing I also have in here is I have my own PowerPoint presentation, which has all of my slide master set up. It's the one that I use if I do any presentations or workshops, and it's here in a central place as well. So this is probably the folder that I would use the most regularly for my business, but it's also the one where I know that if I've got any changes that I need to make in terms of my branding or my messaging or a section that I want to have as a standard in a document, this is where I do it, so that every time I open a new document from that point on, it's always current and available, and it's quick and easy to do. So the last folder that I keep in my toolkit is my information pack. And this one's a little bit different to the others. So this is a bit of a marketing, or if you do speaking and public engagements, this is sort of that resource. You might call it your brag sheet, you might call it your media pack, whatever you like. I keep it as an info pack, and I use it in lots of different ways. So it's a handy resource to have. In this folder, I keep my short bio that I can send out, and I keep it in a Word doc. And what I can do is I can actually add it to an email as text. I can create a PDF and send it off. I will go in and edit it occasionally, or I'll create a bio and then I'll tailor it in an email or in another document that I save against my speaking folders or against a particular grant or proposal that I'm putting together. I've also got a couple of versions of my own headshots. So I've got one that everybody will have seen, which is me seated in the chair. That's the one that I use quite a lot, but I've got a couple of direct profile images as well. Both all are high resolution, and I mark in them that it's me and that it's my profile and which way they work. And that just makes it easy for me when someone says, oh, we need a landscape photo, it needs to be high res, I can shoot it off really, really quickly. I also keep a couple of documents here. So we talked before about the document folder where I have my professional profile as a working doc, and then I have my actual PDF version sitting here. So this is an old one. I haven't needed to update it for a while because my core skills sit pretty solidly. So I have my profile and it's a PDF. It's a reasonable size, so I can attach it and send it in an email. I can attach it to a proposal. If I'm working with somebody, I can send it to them so that they can send it to the client when we collaborate. I also have a formatting fact sheet. So this is a little bit of a sort of a promotional document that I have, and it covers some of the things that I've prepared about why you should have your documents done. So this is a handy tool. Again, I would attach it to a proposal. I might attach it if someone's interested in having a chat about what I can do. So this is sort of my media pack. And over time, that may change and adapt, but it means it's all, again, in a central place where I can access it without any difficulty. So that is my business toolkit, and it's what I use to make life easier for myself. It's got all of my day-to-day use documents. It's got some really handy information that I would can add really quickly to emails, or I can share directly as a link via OneDrive, but it's all in one central place. So the other reason that I bang on about a business toolkit, particularly working with Microsoft 365, is because I love the fact that if it is a folder on OneDrive, it means that I can access it on my desktop when I'm sitting at the computer. I can access it on my laptop as long as I've got internet access, and I can access it on my phone. So I have OneDrive on my phone, but I can also access it. I can access the individual documents using the shortcuts in each of the individual apps. So in PowerPoint, in Excel, and in Word. Excuse me. So if you don't have a business toolkit, if you have things sort of all over the place, you might be using your desktop as your business toolkit and you've got all of your core documents there. I'd really recommend trying to put them into a folder and get them up into a cloud system. If you're not using 365, that's fine. Google Drive is a good alternative, or Dropbox. But you want it so that it syncs with all of your devices. So if you work on it on your laptop when you're out at a cafe or in a client meeting and you work on something and you're, I'll just pop that into there. And then you come back to the office or back to your desk at home and they're not the same. So you want to make sure that they're all synced up and working. All of the idea behind all of it is to keep your templates in a central place. So if you need to make a change, you know exactly where to go. If you bring on a new team member, you can say, here is our business toolkit. This is the central location. That's what you need to use. It's where you draw your invoice from. It's where you can keep all of your marketing information. It's where the most current headshots are. It's to make your life easier. So I would highly recommend, if you don't have one, to seriously look at getting one together. Name it something that makes sense to you, put it in a place that makes sense to you, and ease your workload. So if you have enjoyed this video and you would like more tips and tricks from Thrive, then please subscribe to our channel so that you get notified when our new content goes live. You can also join us in our Facebook group, Microsoft Dynamos. It's where we share loads of tips and tricks like this on working with Microsoft 365 products to make your life easier. You can also follow Thrive on any of our social media channels. You'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or you can get in touch directly. It's Marianne at thriveadmin.com, or you can send us a message on any of the social media channels.